This is Emaad. Emaad is your typical unmotivated high school senior. His parents want him to be a lawyer or a doctor, unsurprisingly. But he knows that his calling is in the music industry. His true passion is rapping. Mostly due to the fact that it is a safe outlet for his swearing. Unfortunately, his parents have heard that the music industry is in decline and that it is not a particularly stable profession. They've heard that some artists claim that streaming services like Spotify and Pandora have ruined the industry. Artists can no longer make a profit because of these free services and due to piracy. The music streaming industry is represented by the market structure of an oligopoly. Spotify represents one of the few companies in the oligopoly market that does not collude. Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, and Amazon Prime offers essentially the same music in a market where there are barriers to entry and where there are very few firms. The decisions of these firms do affect each other. If Spotify begins to charge more, listeners will begin to listen to Pandora and YouTube. If Spotify charges less for their premium services, Pandora and other music streaming services will be forced to lower the price of their product. Is the music industry really as unstable as it seems? Emaad really wants to show his world his new record, Good Kid, Emaad City, under the label Emaad Productions. So we decided to explore the realms of the economic kingdom of streaming music. Will Emaad be able to earn money? Some would tell Emaad to go down the route of online streaming. They argue that Spotify reduces piracy and generates revenue for artists using royalties. They also get people who would otherwise steal songs to pay a little or even listen to ads on Spotify. Services like Spotify are getting fans to listen to music legally, even if they aren't boosting sales. Spotify stated that, by bringing listeners into our free ad-supported tier, we migrate them away from piracy and less monetized platforms and allow them to generate far greater royalties than they were once before. Once they are using our free tier, we drive users to our premium subscription tier, at least doubling the amount they spend on music, from less than $5 per month, the average spent by download consumers in the United States, to $9.99 a month for Spotify Premium. Since its inception in 2008, users of this service have reached 20 million, 5 million of them paying either $5.99 or $9.99. A Spotify Premium user delivers more than 2 times the amount of revenue to the industry per year as the average US music consumer currently does, which helps the music industry overall. With every new Spotify user, the amount of revenue received is increased and the amount of royalties they pay out to the industry is increased. Spotify distributes nearly 70% of all the revenues that they receive back to the right holders. In June of 2015, Spotify's CEO, Daniel Ek, announced that they have now paid over $5 billion in royalties, with $300 million of that coming in the first 3 months of 2015 alone. On the other hand, Taylor Swift believes that her music sales will decrease because Spotify allows non-premium members to stream her music for free. Swift thinks that she is not getting paid enough. Spotify pays large sums of money to large labels, who take major cuts and give artists only a small percentage. An exact quote from Taylor Swift is, "Well, they can listen to my music if they get it on iTunes. I'm always up for trying something. And I tried it and I didn't like the way it felt. I think there should be an inherent value placed on art. I didn't see that happening, perception-wise, when I put my music on Spotify." Everybody's complaining about how music sales are shrinking. But nobody's changing the way they're doing things. They keep running towards streaming, which is, for the most part, what has been shrinking the numbers of paid album sales. Taylor might be in fact correct. According to data on music sales from the Recording Industry Association of America, sales in the United States from streaming music were $1.87 billion in 2014, while CD sales were $1.85 billion. Streaming sales jumped 29% last year, while CD revenue dropped 12%. It would take 250 streams to be equivalent to the revenue of one download. The opportunity cost of leaving Spotify appears to be less than the money she would get from direct purchases such as iTunes and CD sales. Basically, she believes that by leaving Spotify, she would be able to earn more than if she remained at Spotify. By removing her albums from Spotify, she's decreased demand for its services, as loyal Swifties are less likely to remain on Spotify. Lastly, some would argue that neither Spotify nor Tay-Tay are right in their argument. University of Minnesota economists Joel Waldfogel and Luis Aguiar of the Institute for Prospective Technological Studies in Seville, Spain, aka Smart Economists, estimate how Spotify has affected both music sales and piracy during its fast expansion across the globe. They compared the music sales and piracy levels of countries with Spotify and found that in the countries whose Spotify sales grew rapidly, it seemed to put a damper on piracy. On the other hand, it also displaced some digital sales, which happens to be Taylor Swift's argument. A new working paper released this week by the National Bureau of Economic Research confirms that services like Spotify displace permanent downloads, which generally pay significantly more than the 600 to 8400ths of a cent per stream. The increased revenue from less piracy and the decrease in revenue from the displacements of digital sales have a revenue-neutral effect. Artists like Emaad won't make any more money, but they won't make any less. As the paper notes, it's not clear that revenue neutrality is an indication of success, given that some might be hoping that streaming would increase overall music sales. But it suggests that this platform isn't sapping the life out of the business. Furthermore, the paper states that the problem may not lie in the streaming industry, but large record companies who take too big of a cut. Spotify gave Universal $2 million over a period of 12 months, but Taylor only received $500,000. So Emaad is faced with a few crucial decisions. What should he do? It's a difficult decision. It's why Adele hasn't put a new album 25 on Spotify, but it's also why One Direction and Bieber have. So for small artists like Emaad, the path to being profitable in the music industry is hard regardless of these facts. He needs to find a way that is the best for him to share his music and leave a lasting legacy in the music world. But first, he needs to pass his AP Microeconomics class.